Alright, so in light of the A's versus Giants Bay Bridge series going on right now, I thought I'd talk about kind of my personal opinions on the Giants, because I feel like with every A's fan, we all have our opinions on our Bay Area neighbor team. Some of us hate them, some of us like them, respect them. There's a million different ways you can feel about the Giants as an A's fan. And I think it's interesting, it's different for cities that, or, regions that have multiple teams. But I think, having two teams in one area is really interesting because you have all sorts of opinions. So I thought I would maybe talk about mine. Now, if you couldn't tell already, and if you know just a little bit about baseball, or Bay Area baseball in particular, the A's and the Giants are polar opposites. The Giants have a beautiful stadium. Most people consider it, in the top 5, maybe even the best stadium in all of Major League Baseball. Oracle Park, it's iconic. It has, it's fairly new compared to some others, but it has, the waterfront. It's got, the brick pattern. It's beautiful. It's in a great area. And the A's, on the other hand, play in a 60-plus-year-old stadium that was built for the Oakland Raiders, that has a huge wall in the outfield called Mount Davis that was put in for the Raiders to move back to Oakland from Los Angeles. And, it's just not generally a nice stadium. I really can't defend the Coliseum. I used to be someone who'd stick up for the Coliseum. Someone would say, oh, Coliseum is bad, and I'd say, well, it's not as bad as you think when you actually go. And now I've kind of been pushed to the limit, with the way things have been going. And, in that same sense, the A's currently have been talking about relocation. The Giants, I don't think relocation will really ever be on the table with the amount of success they have right now. They have talked about relocating before. Tampa Bay was one, 20 some odd years ago, but that's not really relevant. So yeah, that's one way they're different. Another way they're different, the payroll. I mean, the Giants have kept a core together of, a couple players, significant amount of them that have been on this team for close to a decade, winning World Series with the team. I'm talking Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt. I mean, not with them anymore, but Madison Bumgarner was a big one. Joe Panic for a bit. I mean, they had an iconic team. Pablo Sandoval with manager Bruce Bochy. I mean, even though I'm not a Giants fan, you got to respect that team. Putting together a 3 World Series team in a matter of 5 years is incredible, and I felt happy for them. But I think my emotion, and I know I talked about this at the beginning of the video, how, A's fans and fans in general kind of have different opinions on the Giants. I don't hate the Giants and I don't like them. I envy the Giants, and I envy them because of all the reasons I already stated. The Giants have a great payroll. They pay their players like, they actually want to keep them there. The A's want to make a profit. They want to, sell off players to make money and buy cheaper players so they have, a surplus of money that they can use for their personal, values. And when I mean them, I mean ownership. John Fisher is a horrible owner. I don't think anyone respects the decisions he makes because, he's greedy. He doesn't care about a World Series team. I mean, if the A's had the type of payroll that the Giants did, the A's would be up there with them, I think, in terms of, play on the field. So that's one way. And, the Giants had a lot of recent success. But I think one thing to keep in mind is, more recently, like I'm not talking 2014 era, I'm talking like the last 3 or so years, the A's have been the better team. So that's kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me of the White Sox and Cubs. The Cubs are by far the more popular team in Chicago, but the White Sox, up until 2016 with the Cubs winning their championship, the White Sox were a little bit more successful. I mean, they won the World Series in 2005, so it's a little bit interesting. And I think you can't really, even though that's a comparison, I don't think you can compare regional, 2 teams in one region to the A's and Giants. The A's and Giants is so unique because you look at the Angels-Dodgers. Okay, yeah, the Dodgers are by far the more popular team in Los Angeles. And for the record, the Angels don't even play in Los Angeles officially. They play in Anaheim, but considering their name is the Los Angeles Angels, the Dodgers are by far the way more popular team in LA. But the Angels still spend money. Mike Trout has one of the biggest contracts of all time in Major League Baseball. They got Shohei Ohtani on a great contract. They got all these stars, the Angels do. I mean, they're not a good team. They got Rendon, Fletcher. I mean, they have good players, right? Dodgers, have just won the World Series. Obviously, they're successful, so can't really make that comparison. White Sox and Cubs, both have pretty good stadiums. I mean, Wrigley's a classic. White Sox, I believe, have a nice stadium. And both those teams spend money as well. I mean, the White Sox have Jose Abreu, they have Eloy Jimenez. I can go on about the players. And the Cubs, pretty fresh off a World Series title, 5 years, so, they definitely spend money, even though they did have that long drought. I mean, you can even look at the Mets and Yankees, another regional type of two teams in an area, right? Both teams have pretty nice stadiums. Not the nicest, but the Yankees are America's baseball team, right? Hate to say it, but they're the classic baseball team of America. The Mets have had a lot less success than the Yankees. The Yankees have won 27 World Series. The Mets haven't. But the Mets have still been a good team generally. I mean, they've won World Series. They've, went to the World Series. They have good pitching. I mean, I could go on. They have a nice stadium too. The point I'm trying to make is there is no vast difference between a regional little rivalry between A's and Giants and others, because A's and Giants are so different from each other. It is almost unbelievable, the way that they're built. The A's have a smaller fan base, and that's not saying the A's have no fans. I personally think that if people kind of looked at the facts more, I think the A's would have a better turnout. But the fact of the matter is, we go back to the stadium thing. Giants have a lot nicer of a stadium, right? No denying it. I like I said, I can't really defend the Coliseum anymore. I'm starting to strongly dislike it. I mean, I love the memories at the Coliseum, but I just don't like the stadium itself. But the thing is, the Coliseum's huge, so it looks like there's less people at it than there are. The Giants have a smaller ballpark, and I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for the A's lower attendance, but that's what happens when you don't make smart decisions. And I think, like I said, I envy the Giants. The Giants do everything right. I mean, they put together a 3-time World Series team in 5 years. That is so hard to do. Unbelievably hard. And not to mention, they played good teams, These weren't just, walk through World Series teams. These Giants were immaculate, and I'm saying that from an A's fan. I respected it. I was happy for them. I wasn't happy they won those World Series, but I was happy for them, I kind of related to it. And the A's, it's different. The last World Series title the A's won was in 1989 against the Giants, ironically. But it's not the same. The A's, I love them, but, the A's are, at the opposite side. The A's don't do anything right, and I hate to say it. The only thing the A's do right is building players. Matt Chapman, Olsen, Laureano, all these guys were homegrown here on the Oakland A's, right? They were built in the system of, producing players. And I mean, with all due respect to the Giants and other big league teams, I think, I respect teams like the A's, like the Rays, these smaller market teams that build their teams from scratch, even though it's not necessarily smart. I could go on and on about Moneyball, but I think, more intelligent thing to do is buying big name players. Look at the Yankees. They do it all the time. Red Sox do it all the time. Dodgers do it all the time. Mookie Betts. Giants, not as much, but they still keep their core together, which I respect. But, yeah. So I kind of wanted to clear that up. I don't want there to be any misconception that all A's fans hate the Giants. I think a lot of us are really jealous of the Giants, and I'm saying that really brutally honestly. Jealousy is not a good trait. But A's fans, kind of have no other choice. I mean, we have this team 12 miles away that have so much success, brand-wise, stadium-wise, team-wise, and we're stuck with a team that we love from the bottom of our hearts. We'll show up to games. We are dedicated. We buy the jerseys. We support them from the day one of the season till we get knocked out of the playoffs. But damn, the Giants do things right, and the A's certainly don't. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. I just thought I'd talk about this because, it's been on my mind lately. And yeah, see you guys later.